the discourse. And but it's always good to have others check that, right? So then there was always people that would go through and check it, and kind of we'd work as a team, as a community, and find little things that need to be refined, to be fixed, etc. So I think that would be something that would be good for us all to constantly be doing is, hey, once we get this GitHub set up, maybe we find another eyes or two to basically double check that, make sure that we are, following the right guidelines, creating a top tier open source GitHub that allows for full community access, but also quality code, and minimize create a structure that's going to minimize any vulnerabilities getting implemented. So I think that, yeah, once we can try to break down that incentives, we can start basically giving out incentives. Of course, we want to try to get those incentives to last the year. That's going to be, something that we coming weekly should always be looking at, always discussing, making sure we're doing that properly, trying to balance out the workload, etc. So those were the biggest things that I think I wanted to go over. Also, JIGL said he was going to take on the website. Does anyone know, what's the best, safest way to do that? When we did the website, I always had the website on Shimmer. It really, for website hosting, it seems very centralized, because generally you're using a hosting company that you have a credit card attached to. I mean, does anyone know any other idea that, you could have multiple access or something to that?
To be honest, every time I've done it as well with community projects, we've had a shared group where there was one or two people who had their emails as backups. So in case there were any password changes, etc., everyone would get notified. But usually it's something, like you said, a very small centralized team, like 3, maximum 4 people. See how many email addresses you can add into a hosting provider, and then set up MFA.
Okay. Could use a GitHub as a pseudo website. Yeah. I mean, I think we should have all of it. We should have the GitHub, the website, the Discord, and then in the Discord we want all the links to everything, right? As well as the multi-sig wallet type deal. So, and then, okay. So we can try to set up emails that give some redundancy and protection, etc. And I mean, again, I'm one for hey, he wants to set it up, and then let's look at how's it set up. Do we want to change any of the setup? I'm just generally one take the action, build it, then refine it, versus, discuss, build a process, build a structure, refine that structure, check that structure, and then go with it. I'm more of a, it's not a really large global corporate structure, but it's a get off the ground and running type thing. Okay, so we've got that. We did the 80%. Those are still probably need to be when we get closer to airdrop. Fork we need that is coordinated. So I think we'll reword this to finalize. Yeah, and I think now that we're pretty much here, because we're getting close to where we can do an airdrop launch, I think we should break down, I think in that breakdown even, what's involved in all of us, and then go from there. So, I mean, I think 40% is a legit amount, with a 1-year lock. I think also probably should have someone start looking into fork to Firefly and Balloon, because vesting can occur in the wallet, or we can use Hedgie. So there's 2 options there. Edward, what do you got? Sleeping?
Oh, thanks for thinking of me. Actually, I don't have much to add. I think you've covered all of it.
Okay.
If there is time and nobody else has anything to talk about, I'd be inclined to think about the broad strokes of Tan's priorities. One thing that I found inconsistent in the IOTA and Shimmer space networks was the focus on what's important to the network. Is it GroupFi? Is it DeFi? Is it GameFi? Is it Twin? Is it TLIP? Are they all equal? Is one specifically excluded for some reason, or just for the sake of focus? Is one specifically preferred? I don't know what anyone else's thoughts about that are, and I don't have any specific recommendations. Obviously, as a game developer, I'm keen on GameFi, but my point is simply to at least begin the concept of a conversation about what TAN wants to be, and being able to clearly articulate that to potential contributors and potential consumers, and then don't change it, and then behave consistent to the pronounced priorities.
I agree in that sense, other than this is where it's so tough in crypto because the market changes so quick. What I think hopefully we can learn and just do it a little differently is I agree. I think not only did the IF change a lot, but there was no discussion with the community about it. And a lot of times they already made the decision and they actually take action on that decision to change the strategy towards the market. And they go and do it, but then they don't tell anyone. And they kind of keep their whatever strategy they think the community wants until basically they build it, and after 12 months, and then they go, oh, we're changing this, and you're like, whoa, what the hell, and
Yeah.
developers are like, I've just been building this for the last 12 months and you've totally basically fucked us.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I've done. I mean, I
Yeah.
produced an open source SDK and was quite proud of it, and it doesn't work on IOTA anymore. It's like, well, you paid me to do this. I got a grant to do this, and now it
Right.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. That makes no sense at all. And I think, though, I will say one thing about the earliest thing you said in your response about the market does change. Yeah, but some things don't. There's always going to be TLIP. There's always going to be GameFi. There's always going to be GroupFi. There'll always be particular broad strokes in the market, and maybe there'll be different strengths and weaknesses and different nascent periods for certain areas of crypto. But by changing direction with the market so much, you lose identity, and that, of course, is what's happened with IOTA and Shimmer. So it's not just confusing for the contributors; it's confusing for the market. It's like, well, but what is TAN? What is Shimmer? They keep changing. They keep declaring, here are our priorities, and here's what we're going to do, and then they just change it, and no one knows what they do.
Well, I think also they changed the core protocol, and that's, so where something that you've been building literally just gets tossed to the side.
Well, that too. Yeah.
And I think that, I think in that sense, we're making a 4-year strategy vision of, ultimately what Shimmer is, and is a relatively feeless layer 1, which, could have a smart contract or other layer 2 type integrations. That shouldn't change, and I think that's where IF has really screwed up, where they put all this effort into the core layer and then every 3 years essentially throw it away and start all over. And that just is not sustainable to a community. I think, in the original, where every individual does a little proof of work, that just simply didn't work. So, there was no real sticking to that. I think the Shimmer layer 1 with a distributed coordinator worked. There's no doubt about that. It worked. And you could do it relatively feeless, other than basically small electrical amount of cost, but we're talking, cents. And then you can build layer 2s as well. I think where they kind of got screwed up was the mana and whether that may work or not with smart contracts, it's definitely a good shot. And who knows, maybe they would have finished it. But at the end of the day, I think IOTA changes their protocol to, try to chase the market. And generally, when you chase things, you're not going to win. So I think in that sense, yeah, I mean, if we create a base protocol, we have to be committed to that, and what I don't understand is they could have kept Shimmer going. Like they could have gone and done, rebased, but also kept Shimmer. But I think there's this fear that somehow Shimmer was going to like become something and take away from Rebase. I think there was two fears there. There was one from the community, like, oh, that means essentially like there's another token now competing with IOTA, and I'm going to lose value in my holdings. And the other fear was that basically the IF management feared that, holy shit, if Shimmer's run by the community and it succeeds, like they're going to take power from us, right? From like a centralized management corporate aspect. And we're approaching that completely the opposite. We're like, no, we want to support the community. That is the underlying foundation. So if a decision comes to, let's even say, even if it comes up to change the underlying protocol, one, such a decision needs some large majority vote, which is very different from the IF because it's literally coming from three people basically deciding versus the community. And that community vote is going to, who knows, it might be over 50% majority or 70% majority for such a significant decision, which is all of crypto. If you fork the chain, you need the majority of the participants to agree to that fork. As such, if you have dApps and teams and building and people that have invested in it, they're probably not going to support that because, this is the whole economics behind crypto is decisions are made in the best economics of the majority. Go ahead, Lion Alpha. I just saw you come off of mute, so I thought you were going to chat. But yeah, no, you're right. Shimmer turned into a community maintained DLT. The crazy thing is that's what its intention was. It was originally proposed to be a community chain. Here you guys go, build this. If it succeeds, great, do it. And we actually did it with constraints because they kept changing things, but even still made it successful. And as soon as it came to success, they got feared it and basically tanked it. I mean, it was the most ridiculous. It really had changed me. It just killed me. That was the final straw to me, to my heart, basically. So I agree in that sense that, we should focus on essentially that mission statement. What's our mission statement for TAN? In the underlying protocol and which people are going to build upon. Is it going to be a feeless layer 1? Is it going to be, layer 2? Is it going to be mana? I think that's something we should have a discussion about and try to agree on and maybe, discuss that a little bit next meeting and have some discussion during the week. But because if we can really get that close and articulated, now all of a sudden, what are our priorities, objections, and goals that are going to support this vision, and we can start breaking that down into quarterly segments and etc. And then it's all going to be supported by the incentives as well. I think when we look at, is it going to be a global integration